What's going on, everyone? From LowKick MMA, my name is Dave Podolsky, and I'm joined with Cody Brundage. He is set to appear at UFC 300. He takes on Bo Nickal. Cody, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me.
And, you know, in contrast to the last two times we've talked, where it was coming off a loss and that DQ win, you left no doubt in that last one, knocking out Zach Reese with a slam, 50K bonus. Gotta feel good after that one.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's a good turning point. I felt pretty good leading up to the fight, felt good in the cage. And just put myself in a good position leading into this next one. Just confidence wise and starting to feel like, I'm figuring it out. Kind of stuff we talked about before that last fight. But yeah, it was good. It's a good way to kick off I guess the end of the year, but kick off kind of a real streak.
Mhm. So obviously, Bo Nickel, arguably the biggest prospect at middleweight. You're going to be one of the biggest underdogs in UFC history for this fight. And yet, to a certain degree, does that give you sort of a sense of like, I got almost nothing to lose? And, do you feel overlooked at all for this fight? That's a question I've asked you so many times, but I feel especially for
Yeah.
this fight, it's got to be more, I guess, apparent.
Yeah, I mean, definitely overlooked. People no one's really giving me a shot. I know what it is, right? I hear what the people say. Like even people that are supposed to be non-partial or impartial, I guess. Uh, I hear what they say, and I don't think anyone's really giving me a shot, but that's fine, man. I thrive in that environment. I'm not worried about it. Um, I feel like it's a little disrespectful to me and to act like I don't deserve the opportunity, which is I've heard people kind of act like, why are we even doing this fight? It doesn't make sense. Like I'm almost 10 fights deep in my UFC career. Bo Nickal's 2-0. He fought a debutant on 3 days' notice who's really a 55er, maybe I think he's fighting 170 his next fight. So he's only had one fight really at middleweight in the UFC against Jamie Pickett. No offense to Jamie Pickett. I don't think he's a bad fighter. I just don't think he's really a dangerous fighter. You know, if you look, his career kind of speaks to that. He doesn't have many finishes in the UFC. I'm a finisher. I come from a wrestling background. Um, I've never fought anyone with a losing record in the UFC. I have a strong strength of schedule. And even in fights that I've lost, I've had good performances. I mean, Rodolfo went out last night, got a big finish, and he was fighting this amazing kickboxer. Everybody gives Petrosian his roses as like this great striker. Everyone gives Chris Curtis great roses as this amazing striker. No one's done to Rodolfo what I did to Rodolfo on the feet. I feel like I get overlooked a lot, and it's frustrating and annoying, but it is what it is, right? The only way you can change that narrative is to have fights like this and come out on the right end. So it is what it is. But yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel the disrespect. I feel people overlooking me for sure.
So obviously coming out of the Jacob Malkoun DQ win, the fans were not very kind to you, but did that narrative change at all after the Zach Reese fight?
Maybe a little bit, maybe in the moment, but not really. I don't get my like I said, I don't really get my roses. I don't anticipate that'll happen even if I beat Bo Nickel. I feel like um I used to have this mentality like, oh, I'm going to go prove all these people wrong, and then I quickly realized that that's just not the case, right? It's not going to happen. If I go beat Bo Nickel, the narrative won't be like, damn, Cody Brundage is really that guy, or Cody Brundage is next up. It'll be Bo Nickel wasn't as good as we thought, and so my mentality's kind of shifted just from trying to prove people wrong to just prove the people that do believe in me right, and that's much easier to do and much more realistic because MMA fans are fickle, and I don't know if I'll ever get the respect that I think I deserve from them. So it is what it is.
It's funny you say that. I think, in my opinion, you get so many more messages and you're on the other side of it. But I think if you go out there and beat Bo Nickel's arguably the hottest prospect right now in terms of the unknown. And I think if you go out there, and again, who am I? But I think if you go out there and win, you have a chance to really change the narrative on your career.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I just am not counting on it. I used to be like, man, if I go do this, these people are gonna think this. Like I thought last time, everybody was overlooking me. Zach Reese had finished everyone in the first round, and I mean, he's not the prospect Bo Nickel is, but he was a hot prospect coming off contender series. He's gonna run through Cody Brundage. I smashed him. It wasn't close. Finished him, I think, in like a minute and a half, and it was a fluke win. That's what the narrative is. So it is what it is. I'm trying not to look into that because it doesn't matter. I just need to do the work and get my hand raised, and I'll be happy with it, and I'll change my life and change my kids' lives and my wife's life, and that's all that really matters. I'm not really worried about if people think I'm the next thing or not. It used to be that's something I really cared about, but I think as I've gotten older, I feel like that's not a priority for me anymore.
You mentioned, your wife and daughter. I know, your daughter has special needs. First of all, how is she doing? And
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, she's a rock star. I always say I'm the third hardest worker in my family, but because she crushes it, man. She has multiple therapies every week, and she's nonverbal, so she can't say no. She doesn't have the option, so she has to do it all, even when she's grumpy. I mean, she's only 3 years old. She'll be three next week, actually. So seems crazy. I have a 3 year old, but yeah. So I mean, she's a beast. She's far exceeded people's expectations for her, and she still has a far way to go, and it's a lot of hard work, but she's a good why and a good inspiration for me, and she is the best part in my life. So uh yeah, she's good.
Yeah. Well, first of all, happy birthday to her and
Yeah.
congrats to you. Um, and that's gotta, in terms of all the narratives around, MMA and you as a fighter and how the fans see you, I know, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I know for you, like that, what's more important to you is providing for the family, and you always you've mentioned me before, you're the third hardest working in the family, but I know you don't just say that lightly. Like that's something that you truly believe.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like I said, man, I'm just trying to prove the people that believe in me right. And that group, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever, is a lot smaller than the people that don't. But it's a lot more meaningful to me to do what's right by them and prove them right and give my best effort and be able to look them in the eyes at the end of the day and be like, hey, I did everything I could. And I know no matter what, they'll be happy with that. So, yeah, I have great motivation within my family, and my wife, my daughters.
Mhm.
Couldn't ask for more inspiration. I don't know if I'm like more motivated because I have kids. People always say that. I feel like I'm one of the most motivated people already, but I definitely have better perspective on what's important, and I think it gives me clarity when it comes to fighting for sure.
Mhm. So obviously, Bo Nickel, former Penn State All-American wrestler. We know what Bo Nickel is as a wrestler and a striker, but when you look at the footage and you think about Cody Brundage versus Bo Nickel, what advantage do you give yourself in this fight?
Um, I mean, obviously, I have a huge experience advantage. Um, I have a speed advantage, a striking advantage. I really feel like the only place that he has a big advantage would be the wrestling, and I think that's actually closer than people will say or give me credit for. I come from a wrestling background. MMA wrestling is much different than NCAA wrestling. And I think we've even seen that. If you want to be honest, and I know he's got all the hype. I know everybody thinks he's the second coming of Jesus Christ, but if you want to go watch the fights and actually see how his wrestling is translated to MMA, I feel like he horses a lot of things. He's stronger, more physical than a lot of the guys he fights, so he's able to just kind of overpower them. And nothing he does to me is like crazy slick or clean. Like if I watch Armin Sarukian or Gamrot or guys like that, their wrestling is slick. It's clean. They do things that I feel like are pretty wild to watch. Bo Nickel hasn't done that. He hasn't done any of those things. Um, I don't know. Like you said, he's the most unknown. He's the biggest prospect, but he's the most unknown prospect. I would imagine he's early in his career. He's probably getting a lot better with his training. So you see different versions of him every time he's out. But I also know he's running his own ship, and that's not something that's easy to do. Everyone's like, oh, he trains at American Top Team, but not really. He trains at his own gym that he gets to call American Top Team in Penn State, right? So who knows how much better he's getting. And it's my job to kind of put him to the test and put him through the paces. And I think far and away, if you want to be honest, I'm the best guy he's ever fought. It's not even close. And because there's so much unknown, I don't know if you could look at me and say, yeah, he's the best guy you've ever fought. I don't think people could make the argument, but there's an argument. There's no argument that I'm the best dude he's ever fought.
I think yeah, I agree with that. Definitely no argument that Cody Brundage is the most, both the best fighter and definitely the most I guess accomplished fighter, the most experienced fighter he's fought. UFC 300 is still without a headliner, but shaping up to be maybe the biggest card in UFC history. And you are do you know where your placement on that card is, but B, like how cool is it for you to be able to get on that card, even if they're building that fight, because they're building that fight around Bo.
Yeah.
But who cares? For you, you
Yeah.
get that card, you have a chance
Yeah.
to change the
A
narrative.
100%. You know, I've kind of seen that narrative of like, I can't believe Cody Brundage is on this card. And I feel like people want me to like apologize for being on the card. I'm like, you know, it's not my fault that they want to build Bo Nickel. It's an opportunity for me to be on the big with the most eyes, the Super Bowl of our sport, UFC 300, the biggest card possibly ever, definitely probably the biggest card of the year against a marquee opponent that doesn't have or hasn't shown the skills that maybe go with the clout around his name or the hype around his name. We don't know, right? So people want me to apologize for where I'm at. I think I'm like the first fight on the prelim, so I think we're like ahead of some pretty solid fighters. I don't know if the fans know this or not, but like the fighters don't get to decide where we are on the card, right? That's
Yeah,
not up to us. And
yeah,
also, I didn't I didn't ask to be on UFC 300. I've asked to fight Bo Nickel before, and it just worked out that it ended up being on 300, which is dope for me. And yeah, I'm happy. It's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be a cool experience. And like I said, it's a good launch pad to kind of send my career trajectory in way up. You know, I feel like I'm already trending that way, and a big win over Bo Nickel really sends me to the stratosphere. So looking forward to it.
yeah, definitely. And so we're doing this interview, it's still 2 months out from her fight. First of all, gotta be the longest camp of your career.
Yeah, it's definitely long. It was actually I figured out about this in before Christmas, so a little over 4 months. And I think the biggest challenge was just coach trying to like kind of hold me back from like getting right into it and cranking it up and burning myself out. Cause last year all my camps, I think my longest camp was like 5 weeks. So it's new territory for sure, having a full camp, but it's been good. You know, I feel like this last week was like my first. I've been in the gym training, but this last week was my first like really hard week, like pushing really, really hard. So we're 9 weeks out. I'll do that for like 7 weeks and then kind of taper and then it'll be time to fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I always ask fighters, what's the difference between the short notice and a full camp? But when I say full camp, that's always like, 8 weeks or so. It's never really a 4 month camp.
Yeah, 4 months is crazy. And I always train hard. Factory X is, you know, we're always in shape. We're always training hard, but it's just like some different things, right? Like adding a couple different workouts, phasing my strength and conditioning. I have a few guys that I'm flying in for this camp to kind of give me a good look. And I got one of those guys here now with me. So those are just like the big differences. But I mean, I'm always working hard, so it's not like I went from 0 to 100, right? It's just kind of fine tuning, I'd say.
All right, so currently it's February 11th. We are 2 months out from UFC 300. Cody, who do you think will headline this card? Because we still don't know. And that's kind of the biggest question
Yeah.
now in MMA.
Um, I think they're probably going to announce two fights. I would say Bilal and Leon might be an option. I know Leon said he's going to fight on 300. Um, if not them, it would probably be, well, in addition, probably DDP and Adesanya. I think that's the biggest fight they can make right now. And if they don't plan on doing UFC Africa anytime soon, then they're not going to hold off, right? And then a fun one that I've heard that I think would be cool, maybe is like a co-main, is Aspinall Pereira. I don't see him making an interim title the headliner, but I could see him throwing that in as like the co-main with one of the other two being the main event. And then then it's more about like quality over quantity, maybe like in terms of like big name. Like you're gonna have a lot of quality fights, but you're not gonna have one guy that's like Conor McGregor or John Jones or one of those guys. And I feel like that makes up for it. I mean, if you have a four title main card, because you have the girls, you got BMF, then you'd have 170 and 185 or 170 and two or heavyweight. I feel like that makes up for it. Be a huge card. So we'll see what they do. Uh I know Dana on an interview I think I saw yesterday. He was like, I don't know what's going to happen yet. I'll let you guys know. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
No, and I'll be honest, and I've gone back and forth on this on my podcast. I don't even know if the UFC knows, but no matter what, it's going to be an incredible card. Looking at Factory X, you've been training there for a while, and your teammate Brandon Royval, fighting 2 weekends from now, headlines against Brandon Moreno. How do you think that fight plays out for him?
It's a good fight. We train at elevation, so I don't anticipate there being much of a. You see guys go to Mexico City and like cardio cane or people like that. You see them like kind of gas out, and it's a shock. I don't anticipate that being a problem for Brandon. Um, it's gonna be a good fight. I think his fight against Pantoja, we were kind of like, hey man, let's be less chaotic, avoid the chaos. And this fight is more like let's go right into the chaos. So it should be a wild, crazy fight, as are pretty much all Brandon Royval's fights. And I think the chaos, can create opportunity for Brandon to get him out of there and finish him, whether it's a sub or runs him into something hard and finishes him. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think Brandon finds a way to get him out of there.
Well, Cody, I wish you the best of luck. UFC 300, you got a chance to shock the world against Bo Nickal. My final question, right? UFC 300, Cody Brundage, Bo Nickal. Cody, give me your official prediction.
Yeah, I really just see me getting him out of there. I'm a finisher. Um, I hit really hard. I can wrestle. I can find submissions. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I think I'm going to make it look easy, though. I really do. I feel like I'm levels above him when it comes to striking. I feel like I'm levels above him when it comes to experience and finding a way to win fights. And I don't think it'll happen early, but I think Bo Nickal's a whole different dude when he gets hit in the mouth, and I think he's a whole different dude at 501, and we've never seen him there. So we'll see. I think I finish him late second, early third, but I think I get him out of there for sure.
Awesome. Well, Cody, thank you so much for taking the time as always. I'm wishing you the best of luck. Any socials, teammates, whoever you want to shout out, platform is yours.
I just want to shout out my gym, always Factory X. It's the best place in the world. I love that place. And then I want to shout out Garrett Lineberger. He's out here with me right now. He's a two-time national champ, three-time All-American. He's here helping me get ready. So we've been putting in good work. But yeah, my socials are just Instagram. I think it's Cody underscore Brundage underscore, and my Twitter or X is Cody Brundage 185. So if you want to see what I got going on, go follow that. But yeah, man, it's been good. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, always a pleasure having you on, Cody. Guys, Cody Brundage is back at UFC 300. He takes on Bo Nickal and has a chance to truly shock the world. Cody, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Appreciate you.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.